Being a snitch is never a good look, no matter what profession you belong to. It can tarnish a man's reputation and make him less trustworthy. However, we don't often get to hear both sides of the story. What leads to someone snitching on their close friend? YAK Gotti recently came clean about snitching on Young Thug and explained his side of the story. On Saturday night, the people of Atlanta's neighborhood heard gunshots being fired around 7:30. A lot of people were arrested and are currently waiting for trial. Young Thug had an 8-hours-long bond hearing that got denied because the court decided he's too dangerous to be out in public right now. YAK Gotti was also spotted in court recently, which aroused a lot of suspicions. People think that Gotti is cooperating with the feds. So how did they all end up like this? Let's dive into the story and figure out what's happening. The whole YSL indictment has got a lot of people involved. A member of YSL, YAK Gotti, was denied bond at the court, but rumors still state that he's the one who snitched. Although Gotti has denied all the speculations and posted about it on social media. He claimed that he was never once responsible for any of the mess created because he would handle everything. He talked about how none of his brothers spent any time in jail because he took care of everything. Despite all these claims, the rumors seem to be going nowhere. It all began when the alleged paperwork from the bond hearing of YAK Gotti came to the surface. People thought that some rivals of the YSL might have been the ones who snitched. As we know, Young Thug and a few others were locked up in a RICO case, and YAK Gotti, who was previously accused of murder, also got involved in this case. It can be life-altering to be accused of something as serious as murder. According to some sources, this might have something to do with YFN, which is the rival gang of YSL. It looks like YAK Gotti has dug himself a grave. How did this all begin? Let's break it down for you. Back in 2018, Gotti confessed to the law enforcement officials that he had given a rifle to a YSL member. This member was Martinez, also known as Lil Duke, who planned on using the gun in a rival gang altercation back in 2015. Due to this, YAK Gotti pleaded guilty to any gun charges and served 4 years in jail. He talked about this in an Instagram post where he claimed that he has done everything to protect his friends. He said that he went to jail instead of ever letting his YSL members take the fall. The indictment against YSL was revealed to the public, and it stated that Gotti and Arnold are facing the charges of conspiracy to commit murder, using stolen property, and participating in criminal street activity. The main reason why people think YAK Gotti is responsible for Young Thug ending up in prison is that Gotti already confessed to the authorities once. What's stopping Gotti from making another confession? However, we have no idea what all this translates to snitching on someone. YAK Gotti did what he had to do to stop Lil Duke from getting locked up. Sometimes the authorities offer you a lesser sentence or punishment in return for a guilty plea. This might be why YAK Gotti pleaded guilty to all the charges back in 2018 so he could get a lesser jail time. He wanted the issue to resolve faster because the authorities had actual evidence against him. It's either taking a plea deal or facing a stricter sentence. There's never really a choice when it comes to these types of charges. So when the court records say that the person cooperated with the police or the court, it just means that the person pleaded guilty to the charges against him. This does not mean that the person snitched on a close friend or implicated someone else. It just means that they had the option to let the case go to trial or take a lesser sentence. Anyone who has common sense would rather take the amount of punishment they're getting instead of going to trial. According to some local Atlanta reporters, YSL members were caught back in 2018 when they were in the middle of retaliation after a fight. YAK Gotti's guilty plea does not mean that he snitched on Young Thug. Some YSL members, including Young Thug, are being accused of over 50 murders and related charges of gun violence. Young Thug got arrested after the officials raided his place back in May. YAK Gotti has been trying to get his name clear of all charges but is not being released. According to sources, Gotti's release can be harmful to the safety of all witnesses involved in this case. Almost all YSL members have a violent criminal history, so it's no shock that they're being denied bail. During the bond hearing, the prosecutors ended up using YAK Gotti's lyrics from his rap songs against him, and Gotti's lawyer was quick to object. It's never fair to use someone's art against them in court. Gotti has been accused of criminal gang activity multiple times, so why is this case getting more and more serious every passing day? Well, that's because the officials are increasing the charges against YSL, saying that they're involved in drug deals and murders. So you can understand why snitching can be a big deal for these people, as it can land anyone in jail.